Hello guys, I came to this place called Sawada Mansion, which is the building that you can see in here. So this building has a lot to talk about, so I am going to look into it from now. Okay, so this is a closer look of the building. So now you can see how gigantic it is. And then so this building has been actually built by adding layers repeatedly. So it's not something that has been built just for one time. And what is surprising more is that this building has been built by one couple, literally two people, who is Mr. Sawada and Mrs. Sawada. And I will talk about their life later, how they, what kind of people they are later on. But anyway, you can still see that, you see people who are actually living still. And actually, I have stayed here for the past 2 nights, so I will talk about that too as well. So let's get closer again. This is the ads. They are saying that you can call them, asking if you can live in here. So I'm getting closer to the entrance. Okay. So this is something very important. This is the engine that they were using when they started building this building. So the reason why Mr. Sawada and Mrs. Sawada wanted to build this building was that he said at the beginning of the board says that, so the motivation was to, how far they can go just by two people, like trying to test the potential of a human being, and also as well as wishing to have a mansion that holds more than 100 families, households. So that's what they are, what motivated them to, start building this place. And this is one of the collections Mr. Sawada loved to collect. The reason why was that this engine was something that had played many roles in creating this mansion. For example, it mobilized the sawmill for timber, and to mobilize like the generator, and also a pumping machine to pump the groundwater. So it was, it played many roles in making this building. And then here you can see the information about the rent. And for example, right now it's one room is rented for 35,000 yen, and then that is gonna be 20 tatami spaces, which is gonna be like 35 square meters. So I think that's a pretty reasonable price. I think it's cheaper than probably like the much of the rooms and the rental spaces in Kochi city, I think here. And then actually this place I will show you later, but you see there's a Starbucks and a supermarket right across this mansion, so which is very convenient to live. So I'll look at the map. So it's 5 stories, and it has underground parking space. Also, from 1st to 4th floor, I think that's the rooms for residents. And then actually the Sawada family is now living in the 5th floor. Also, there's a rule for sightseeing this mansion. So basically, the time for sightseeing is from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you need to behave in a good manner. Try not to see inside the room of the people who are living in here, and so care about those people. and unless you get the permission from the owner, you cannot shoot anything. For this video, I have asked Miss Sawada-san if I can, take a video, and they said okay, so I'm now recording. And lastly, you try to, say hello if you see people living in here. So let's start. So these are the, donated by the people living in here. So it's like, exchanging, like, you can give away your stuff you don't need, and then you can just take whatever you want. And for these books, you pay 10 yen, less than $1 for books and the stuff that's left here. And so these are the engines that Mr. Sawada, Kano-san, who built this building, have collected throughout Japan. So he has now more than 40 of these things, and every time he collects, it doesn't work like that. So he fix it, by creating like the parts of these things and the nails, like what's neji, like anyway, like everything he needed, he created by his own and repair that. And then some actually worked to build this mansion. Yeah, there's many of these, like here as well. So here it's there's cafes. I have actually stopped by yesterday, and it says today is closed, but it's nice. It was nice place to rest inside. And they said that they came here, started opening this cafe. I think this was within this year, and then the reason why was that they said, their business, if you open the business in here, it's going to be good. I don't know why, because there are many people actually living in this building, so they can stop by. And also this place, Sawada Mansion, is kind of popular and a well-known place in Kochi. So that's why people get interested and can stop by and then visit. But anyway, I recommend if you get a chance to visit here, to stop by in this cafe. I will go under to the underground parking spot. So according to the book I read, actually I stayed here for the past few nights, and there was a book inside the room, and there was about this Sawada mansion, which talks about how this building has been built, and also the lives of the Mr. Sawada and the Mrs. Sawada and their families. And so it said that during the time this building has been started built, underground parking was never been built in Kochi prefecture. So this was actually the first one at the time to have the parking spot in underground. So sorry, I don't try not to have the numbers of the cars. So each spot has a cute, I think it's a character from Ghibli movies and the Pokemon, but it's funny. I feel a bit chilly. Yeah. 다목적 hall. I hear a drop of water. So it's like this. Okay. Down is underground. So I'm going up to the second floor. And what's interesting about this place is that this has like a slope up until fourth floor. So it's very nice for elderly people and kids. It's easier to walk up. And actually, I had a huge luggage yesterday, so that was also helpful for me to get to my room to bring in. And there's something you notice about this place also. So every floor has flowers, like trees, and then that is because so the Mr. Sawada and Mrs. Sawada love the nature. So I'm now in the third floor, and I'll go back to the second floor to check out. So this is like a bracelet, key holder, stuff that's sold, probably like maybe made by a person living here. I guess, and it's very nice. So going back, and then so here is the second floor. So there is also a piano, lesson rooms, and here's actually a design office, and then also a nail salon inside. So many people actually running businesses, renting their spaces. And then here is actually a place, way to get to the room I'm staying at for the past few days. Okay, I need a key. Okay. So this is a room I stayed at for the past few nights, and then so here you see the light, and then it's I think this is a decoration, and it's actually wooden, and then the flooring looks good, and you also have this wood ornament, and then here's a living room. I mean, it's I don't know if it's 1K. Yeah, you have your own kitchen, and then the fridge, also how do you say, warmer? How do you call it? I forgot. And this worked fine as well. It's an electric one, and working desk, TV. You also have Wi-Fi, and you get dryer. And this one was very interesting. So this sign was made in 1998, which is almost how many years? 25 years ago. And bathroom is clean, really nice. And actually, I got my head hit at this place, so you gotta bend a little bit when you come out. And so this bathroom is looking like pretty much something that was made in Showa period, but it worked fine. So I think, and then overall this was for one day you pay 4,000 yen, which is 4,000 yen, and then you get towels for each day. So I think it was pretty nice, just considering that this is not like a dorm place. You have your own private space and the bed. And then so this was the book I read for the past few days. And then is talking about the Sawada Mansion. The book is called Sawada Mansion Monogatari, so which is like the story of Sawada Mansion. And then it said that this was a mansion built only by 2 people, and also it has many interesting description and pictures of the mansion. And it was actually also interviewing with the people who are living inside. So it has some pictures, from how that looks like inside. So, some people, this was a room by a person who was doing like editing the magazine. So, looks really fancy, I guess. And some of the rooms have this kind of wash too, Japanese kind of room. So very unique, I think. And then this was about 300 pages, and then it talks of many episodes about Mr. Sawada and Mrs. Sawada, which is really interesting to know. And so I will go out and look at see the other floors as well. But I mean, for someone who wants to stay inside Sawada Mansion, I strongly recommend you try. You can give a call to Mrs. Daughter or Mrs. Sawada, actually, who is Sawada Kazuko-san, and who's been very nice and kind. And you can give her a phone call and ask if there's available rooms or not. So that's for the staying. And I'll continue to my shooting. And then if I keep going this way, so it's facing the mountain. So you can park your bicycles, and you can go further. And there's stairs here, so you can go up from here. I guess I'll check out later. So it's pretty much like kind of like a dungeon, You can just coming here for the first time. You probably can't figure out how to go up. I have come here already, spent quite a time. It's not a lot of time, like just a few days, but I kind of got an idea of how I can go up. So, it's like a second floor. Then I go back to like where I was walking up to the third floor. So now I came back. Then let's go up to the third floor. Oh, here's a rabbit. I'm basically, shooting like down because I don't want to, take a video of the exterior of the rooms. Of the people who are living here. So here's also a parking spot for like bicycle. Then you go to the backyard of the building. Then here there's also a slope, so you can easily go up without getting tired. And you can keep going. There's also an aisle. So here, you get to a spacious place, and now I'm in the fourth floor. Then, so this is, you see a pond. Wow. It's not first time to see for me, but so I might not be surprising, but it was a big surprise when I got here for the first time. おはようございます。すいません、ちょっと喋りながら撮っています。So I read the book about this mansion, and then it talked about this pond. So it used to be, initially it was intended to create onsen here. So actually, at first it was actually onsen here. It wasn't probably not onsen, like for it was like a bath that the family can take, and it was also for the residents as well. But later, like a grandson of Mr. Sawada said, he wants to have a pool here. So this was made into a pool once. Then he also wanted to have fishes inside in it. So like, so now you see. How do you call it, the kind of fish? Koi. You see like the ones that are very popular outside of Japan. So, and then, Sawada-san brought fishes, and then this place was turned into a pond. And with that kind of rocks and then trees and nice flowers. Yeah. It's amazing. So I am now going up to the fifth floor. 5階って上がって大丈夫ですか？そっちから。いいですか？こっちからですか？いいですか？はい。すいません。Okay. So this is the like house for Sawadas. So here is everybody gets surprised. So he's a puta, and he's now, I think, 8 years old. Wow. Mansion with a pig. すごい。何羽飼われてるんですか？鶏は。5、6羽あります。ああ。卵を食べられてるんですよね。あ、そういうことなんですね。なるほど。ひろいさんです。That's Mrs. Yore, Mrs. Sawada actually. Wow. So here you see 5, 6, how do you call it, chickens? Okay. So they actually raised, and these are the ones that are hatched from eggs they have raised. Yeah. And then for the, for food, the family, eat their eggs. So many things actually up on the fifth floor they grow vegetables. So many stuff they eat are actually made by themselves. If natural earthquake happens, and then if they can't use like electricity, like water, they can still they have a lot of engines, and then there's actually a well in this mansion, so they can also get the water as well. Which is, it's like, back in 1970s or 80s, that kind of thinking was, pretty much advanced, considering the time. Now it's, it sounds normal, but, still that was, at the time, it was pretty much ahead of the time, I guess. And so this is a spiral stair going up to the 5th floor. And actually, so one thing I was got very interested in was that why they built this spiral stair is that you only need like a little space to going up. If you want to like build like stair, that's going to need more spaces, like the ground. So that's how they were very creative about that. Okay, so let's go up. よいしょ。Oops. So there's a dog, but that's a part I can't take a video. So, but here's on my left side there's a dog, and then also a house, that the families are using, and then so here is the little farm. I can't tell which vegetable, but おはようございます。すごい。これなんだろう。I wonder what they are. これ何ですか？やってる、育ててるの。これ？はい。玉ねぎ。あ、これ玉ねぎか。ああ。まだもうちょっとね。あ、そうなんですね。These are onions. え？猫？あ、猫が来てるんですか。あ、本当だ。これ本読んだんですけど、結構その自給自足というか、かなりいろいろもうここで採れたものをご家庭で食べられてるんですか。あ、そうなんですね。まあ無農薬ですね。あ、無農薬なんですか。へえ。キャベツとかもで作るけどね。あ、そうなんだ。子供らもね、はい、スーパーで買うたキャベツやっぱね、消毒臭くてね。ああ、別に味が違うんですね。芯の方とか特にね。はいはいはい。生でサラダで食べたりしたらね、全然違う。甘みが全然違う。あ、そうなんですね。へえ。はい、失礼します。So here's a husband of Mrs. Sawada Kazuko-san, the third daughter of Sawada family. And then he told me that so they are now growing many vegetables here, and then they don't use like chemical stuff, so it doesn't the vegetables don't get too big like those ones sold in supermarkets, but the tastes are much healthier and better. So like their kids eat these stuff, used to eat this stuff, and then they say that when they eat vegetables sold in supermarkets, it doesn't taste as good as the ones they grow. So they basically grow these vegetables and eat themselves, and then if there's something left, so they put in the shelves in front of the mansion, so that the residents and the people like the neighbors can buy them. So that's very sustainable, I guess, pretty much. And so here's Kazuko-san taking, I guess it's endomame beans. And then you see the cats as well. I think it's a tama. Hello. I'm trying to play with her, but you can see it. So not only onions, but also other stuff, kyuri, cabbage, so many other kind of vegetables, which I don't know how to put in English, unfortunately. But and then here's also a crane. It's a surprise to bring this thing to the 5th floor. I think this works still, I guess. So if they want to add more rooms and stuff, they can actually. So here's also one more surprising stuff. So it's like it's not an elevator, it's like a lift actually going up and down, which was also built by Mr. Sawada and Mrs. Sawada. And actually she, Mrs. Sawada, Hiroe-san, she actually now she doesn't get older, so it's not easy to smoothly work. So she sometimes sit there and then going down to the 1st floor. And I haven't seen this one moving yet, but I heard it's also working fine. And you can sit here and then take a rest. So it's like the whole parts of the buildings. And then so I want to touch a bit about the environment of this place. So you see Sunny-Mart, which is like a supermarket that you can buy anything, and then there's also a Starbucks right in front, and then also a book off, and then clothing store called Aoyama, and then there's Yamada Denki, which is like one of the biggest electric appliances store, and then there's also a sushi restaurant, and then right in front is a bank, Kochi Bank, I think, and then across the road there's also another bank that's popular, and then next to it there's a Hamart, which is like how do you call it, DIY homemade shop. So pretty much you can if you want to live in here, it's super convenient. You get anything you want actually, anything you need for living. And then actually I've been here, I've stayed here for 2 nights already, and I went to the supermarket and then bought grocery stuff, and that was I thought it's very convenient. And then at the night I wanted to focus on what I want to do, and I went to a Starbucks and then spent there for a few hours to work on my stuff. So I mean, this is very convenient to live actually. And then so here is like the whole part of the buildings, and that's it for I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to touch a bit lastly about how their life had been like. I mean, like the Mr. and Mrs. Sawada. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention. One thing I want to add is that so when Mr. Sawada bought, this land, so there was actually nothing, nothing. It was like back in 1971. There was nothing like this. So actually it was like only like a tambo, how to say, field of rice. So 50 years later, it has got developed, and now that's what you get for now. So and actually this place is very close to highway, so that is also one thing that's very convenient. So going down to the second floor, where I am staying. Maybe I should take a different route to get there. So like these stairs, like the space is, each step is different. So it's not like, planned initially, but that was something that I guess it was added, when they created like third floor. So well, let's go this way. Don't know if I can go down, but I guess I can. Yes. So okay. Oops. Okay. So that's third floor still. Then you go this way. Then you can go down one more. So it's pretty much like a dungeon, as I've said. Okay, right, I'm back. Okay, hey guys. So I came back to this room where I have been staying, and so again it was very impressive to see this building inside the complexity of the building, and considering that that was still amazing to know that this has been built by only two people, Mr. Sawada and Mrs. Sawada. And I wanna talk a little bit about their lives lastly. So like Mr. Sawada, husband of the couple, so he has passed away several years ago, and but he had a great passion of making this building. As he said, this is a challenge to of human potential. He wanted to see how far they could go just by trying to do this thing by two people with her wife, Hiro-san. And then so as I've said, I've read this book, and then this was published more than 20 years ago, but it had many great details about their lives. And what was really surprising to me was that Kano-san, Mr. Sawada, he had decided to be a landowner and doing a housing business when he was 5th grade of elementary school. So it has to be 10 or 11 years old. So he is a son of farmers, parents of farmer. He had many siblings, so eight in total, including him. They had 8 kids. Wow. So that was many years ago. And so as I've said, he decided to be a landowner when he was really young. It was when he read an article about housing, and then he there was a word apartment written in katakana, which he said was very unique to him. Like that word, I guess it was very rare to see at the time. So he started reading about that, and then realized there's a business where you can rent a place, and then you get the rent and income by doing that. So that was, he said, really shocking to him, and then that's when he decided to be, in the future, he, rents places to other people and get income by doing that. So that's when he got into this kind of field for the first time. And then he first decided to be able to build a house. Asked his grandfather to give him a sawmill because that grandfather was doing that timber business, and he gave it to his grandson, fortunately. So he started doing like a timber. And what's surprising about that is that usually if you want to be able to build a house, you first go to a carpenter's place, right? And it's usual that you get trained for several years there first, but he wasn't like that. He said he didn't like that kind of idea because being trained in several years in carpenter's place is like kind of like a detour for him, according to him. So he said he was wanting to be able to create the material first, and if you know well about timber, like how many wooden material you need, how like the shapes that has shapes of the material have to be how they have to be. He said you get idea of what the structure of the houses. So you eventually get that kind of idea of how you can build a house just by being able to create timber. So he started learning the kind of skills when he was pretty young. But unfortunately, his mother died when he was in schools, so he had to take care of his young sister and brother until his father got married to someone else. And then, but he was at the time 27, 28 years old. But anyway, it was when he decided to leave the family. He said there's someone who can take care of their siblings, so he said he wanted to be independent. So he left the house, he left family, but without having any money and nowhere to sleep. So he was literally homeless for about a month. And then he said, but he is able to create a house, being able to produce materials for wooden materials for houses. So he went to someone who's wealthy at the time and the place where he was living, and he asked the person to give him money first to start his own business, but he got declined. But the person said he can rent land. So he rented a land for 2 months, and during that time he built a house there, and it got sold, so he got some money out of that. So that's how he started doing his own business, by making houses, selling it. He's not selling it by himself. He asked other like a middleman agency to sell his house, but it was successful. In the future he wants to have a house of 100 families, which is like idea of having like a Sawada mansion. At the time he had the idea when he started the business already. So and then he kept building a house, selling it, and do it again. And one day there was a family living in the house he built, and then that was the family of Mrs. Sawada, Hiroe-san. So that's how they got to know each other. But there was 20 years age difference between them. So or how they got married, everybody wonders. To summarize so far, Mr. Sawada, one of 8 siblings, decided in 5th grade of elementary school to become a landlord and one day build a 100-unit apartment complex. Instead of carpentry, he started a lumber business with his grandfather's engine. At the age of 27, he left his family with nothing, started a home building business, and at 32, met 13-year-old Hiroe, his future wife. Hiroe, she and her mother moved into an apartment built by Mr. Sawada. Due to family issues, her mother left, and Mr. Sawada took care of Hiroe. She believed in his dream of building a 100-unit apartment, and they began their journey together. Concerns were raised by the school and the police about Mr. Sawada living with a 13-year-old girl, but since Hiroe wanted to stay, they didn't intervene further. Afterward, they repeatedly built and sold apartments, constructing around 300 housing units before building the Sawada Mansion. In 1971, they finally began construction of the Sawada Mansion. The foundation work was done in 3 phases, and the whole construction was completed in 1985. Remarkably, they did almost everything by themselves, from cutting lumber from their own mountains to excavating the land with bulldozers and power shovels, all based on Mr. Sawada's mental blueprint. After its completion, they managed the mansion while growing vegetables on the rooftop. At one time, they ran a supermarket selling these vegetables, and due to residents' requests, they also operated a guest house. Their daughters had cooking qualifications, and the food was highly praised. The uniqueness of their apartment management is evident. They offered a variety of room sizes, all priced 20 to 30% cheaper than usual. No key money was required for renting, and the tenants could start living with 2 months security deposit and the first month's rent. Even a grantor wasn't necessary, and the security deposit could be waived under certain circumstances. Rent never increased, reflecting their philosophy of understanding the struggles of those in need, having experienced extreme poverty themselves. The uniqueness of the Sawada Mansion is undeniable. Above all, the innovative and unconventional thinking of Mr. and Mrs. Sawada is the source of their endeavors. Although it is considered an illegal building, this mainly refers to not having applied for building confirmation. However, with many residents living there and a good relationship with the administration, they have not faced compulsory administrative action, thanks to the residents' cooperation in activities like evacuation drills. In sum, visiting Sawada Mansion and running its story was thought-provoking. Mr. Sawada graduated from elementary school, and Mrs. Sawada couldn't attend beyond junior high due to family circumstances. Yet, they built a unique mansion that couldn't have been created even with a university or architectural education. Their spirit of trying things on their own, without being bounded by existing norms, challenges us to reconsider the importance of hands-on effort in an era where technology can solve many problems. So if you ever have a chance to visit, I would definitely recommend you to do it.
一つがい思い重ねた無二の城安きなる世に想像を問う一つがい思い重ねた無二の城安きなる世に想像を問う A couple with accumulated dreams built an unparalleled castle in a world of ease questions what it means to be creative. A couple with accumulated dreams built an unparalleled castle in a world of ease questions what it means to be